I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and I would like to welcome you to another one of my Living Consciously videos. I enjoy making these. Apparently, last week, Friday, when I tried to simultaneously make one on YouTube as well as Facebook Live, I couldn't get Facebook Live. And I think that was the day that Facebook Live went down um, across the internet, across the world. So I think that was last week, Friday. And it frustrated me no end trying to set it up. Finally, I gave up and just did a YouTube live last week. But so if you feel you absolutely have to see what I posted last week, please go to my YouTube channel and you will catch it there. Today's topic is called a change of perspective. And the beauty is that you can look at anything you're going through in a different manner. You can look at it otherwise than the way you may have been conditioned to look at things. So I will guarantee you that as you go through your journey in life, that people will disappoint you. And let's start with some of your more critical relationships. This is of a spouse, husband, wife, significant other, best friend, anybody who plays a very important role in your life. If they absolutely come in and give you a cause to be literally heartbroken, you, by searching for answers that are not immediately evident, you can train yourself to look at it differently. I'll give you a very concrete example. Yesterday, I was at Sacred Circle and in Old Town Alexandria, and one of the women came to me, as so many often do, after a failed relationship. And when I looked at her energy field, I saw that she had spent lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of servitude, of being a servant and not having the ability or thinking she never had the ability to stand on her own 2 feet, that she didn't have it within herself to make anything more of her life than what was doled out to her by society. So effectively, she just chose lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of servitude. In this lifetime, that was far from the case. So effectively, she now had an opportunity because of this betrayal, because of the fact that the husband was no longer, the spouse was no longer in her life. She had an ability to make a life for herself that looked exactly the way she wanted it to look. And she recognized, the two of us recognized together, that her soul contract depended upon her finding that ability in this lifetime to stand on her own 2 feet, to be independent, to be a striver, a doer, an example for her children of the fact that she absolutely could become a person that was self sufficient. She did not need a spouse to support her. This was a phenomenal revelation to her. And I was very happy to lead her there. Going back through some of the incidences in my own lifetime, I started thinking about where my parents uh, made promises to me that they never fulfilled. One of those promises was to get me a bike. And so I today in meditation, just a few moments, not didn't take very long, I asked about why I never received that bike. And what I saw was myself mangled up under the tires of a car. So that effectively, the fact that they never gave me a bike prevented me from having that accident. So I was able to avoid a horrible accident in my lifetime. They also promised me a trip to Chicago when I was in the sixth grade. Never happened. And this was, I was so distressed by this, but instead, I was asked to stay to take care of the two children. My uncle, had picked us up, and so I was going to stay with them. And to me, it felt like uh, a loss of a joyous occasion, which it was, but nevertheless, it set me up for a lifetime of having to release expectations because it's in the expectation of you wanting something to happen, something specific to happen, that some of your worst pain can come. You want your life to look a certain way instead of just being grateful for what is given to you. And by you taking and setting up these expectations for yourself, you miss the joy of the moment. You miss the joy of what is. So I, even though they were bitter things for me, not receiving the bike, not going on the trip, I recognized that this was something that I obviously needed for a life lesson. Um, there was one more thing that happened when I was a senior in high school. Actually, it started when I was 16, when I got my driver's license training. My parents did not own a car, and they had promised me that if when I completed my driver's training, that they would purchase me a car. Well, I completed it, no car in sight, and I was going into graduation, and unfortunately, they never kept that promise of buying a car. And by my senior year in high school, I had a job throughout my senior year in high school at the public library in downtown Grand Rapids. Then I either had to take the bus or walk. When certainly during the nice days, I walked. During um, ugly days, I took the bus. But I lost a lot of time either way in transporting myself. So that caused a tremendous amount of resentment in me to the point where I felt that if I didn't get a car, I my life was just not going to look right. And so, what I did the month before graduation, and this is the first time I've ever publicly admitted this outside of my family, I stopped talking to them. I stopped talking to both parents. I just coexisted in that house. And they finally recognized how important this was to me. They did buy me a car, I did get it for graduation, but it seemed to me like a very hollow victory. It wasn't worth the anguish that I felt on a day to day basis over the fact that I had to go to such an extreme to stop talking to them to get something that they had promised me for several years. So I share that with you because for whatever reason, somebody out there needs to hear that. And sometimes, do we have to take extreme measures? Yes, we do. But effectively, those extreme measures sometimes will get us what we want, sometimes it won't. And again, when I asked my guides today, why did I experience 2 years of being traumatized by not having a car? And they basically said the same thing, releasing expectations. This was something that would carry forward for me for the rest of my life, where instead of being rattled by something, I could still find peace in the middle of negativity. So I thought, well, so be it. I'll accept that as a reason. Occasionally, a best friend will let you down, a colleague, a child in grade school, in high school, in middle school, in college. And sometimes uh, when that happens, then the only message for you, you have to get your own reason, you have to get your own messages for why this is happening, why this person uh, had you as a best friend and then decided that they were going to not be there for you. And the worst is when a dear friend ghosts you, when they won't give you the reason. And this happens continuously. And it seems to be happening over and over and over. I did have that happen in high school. And it was, again, horribly painful. But when I asked this morning what the meaning of that was for me, they said, my guide said, to learn how to roll with the punches. And so just be there for other people, find other friends, and not be crushed by a best friend. So, again, um, this also strengthened my resolve to treat my friends in a manner that I wanted to be treated and not do that to them. And I hope that I've kept my promise. Obviously, I have had friends that have gone by the wayside, especially once I started on my spiritual path. Um, Everybody that I thought I needed to have in my lifetime, I recognized no longer fit into my life. So I just slowly extracted myself, or they extracted me from the gatherings. And it's amazing. I now can understand that the people that are in my life, that I call my friends, are there, but chances are they'll be there the rest of my life because they are on the same path I am. And they're walking a spiritual path, and they don't look at me with fear in their eyes when I talk to them about what's so important to me. So I certainly understand that best friends, there are times you outgrow your best friend. And just know that you have to be okay with it because you're meant to grow in a different direction. Um, what about the husband, the spouse, the significant other, the partner who betrays you? When I asked for guidance on that, the first thing that came up from my guides was get out. Get out of the relationship because basically, if they betray you, they may have their own reasons. They may never have trusted you. They may have gone, they may have kept hidden from you exactly who they were and what they wanted out of this relationship. And when they got what they wanted out of the relationship, they were no longer willing to continue. But even more importantly, if you are in an emotionally, mentally, or physically abusive relationship, get out, get out, get out. I will guarantee you, if the person hits you once, they will hit you again. There are no exceptions. No amount of begging forgiveness is going to make that person change. They have to change on their own without you in them. And there is no one on the face of this earth, male or female, that deserves to be a punching bag to somebody else's frustrations. Get out, get out, get out. If you're listening to this and you have that kind of trauma in your life, or you know somebody that does, have them listen to this. I know I will guarantee you with in an, with every fiber in my being, if they hit you once, they'll hit you again. And you, as a human being, did not come here to become a punching bag for someone else. And it never ceases to amaze me what kind of excuses people make for staying in abusive relationships. They just, I've probably heard them all. One of these days, I'll probably sit down and have to write out some of the excuses that I've heard. Um, it's unbelievable to me that people will consider and taking the abuse in the hopes that the person will change. That will not happen. Under no circumstance will that happen. The change has to come from within. The person has to want it themselves. And he's not going to want it because you want it for him or for her. That's not going to happen. So, uh, if you, especially the people who are the most dangerous people in your life, are the narcissists because they have a false front. They put up a really great show in the beginning. They come in with these wonderful, um, loving, giving ways of speaking, ways of reeling you in, and then it all goes south. It all turns to mud. It all becomes so aggressively wrong. And there, I have had people sit in front of me saying, "So you don't think he'll change, or you don't think she'll change?" And the answer is no, 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 no. You cannot make somebody change. You can't wish it. You can't hope it. You can pray for it. You can send them the light of grace, but you have to extract yourself from their life. So, but in terms of change, how do you affect change? You change, and the world changes. It's amazing. Because as you change, as you throw out vibrations that are higher than the vibrations you've been living in, you will attract people with those higher vibrations. So you have a way to affect change, but it's through you. And but you're not going to be able to get another person to change because you hope, wish, and pray for them to change. So everything basically starts with you. And if and when you extract yourself, you have to remember you are responsible for the cultivation of your own soul. You are responsible for yourself. Get a grip on your life. Take, make a secret garden in your own soul. Make it a place for you to be able to nourish what it is that you feel is best for you. I know myself, I'm going to conclude with one statement, and that is that pain has been my path to wisdom. So I don't begrudge you any pain that you've experienced. Just don't stay in it. Don't wallow in it. Don't ask people to feel sorry for you. Don't, because all they want to do is they want to run away from you. They want to be out of your sight, out of your mind, out of your hearing, out of any contact with you. So you cannot uh, keep yourself as a victim and expect people to want to gather around you and want to be with you. I hope that this has helped any one of you that may have experienced some of these issues. I usually talk about a very positive, very upbeat, but this is what came through now for me today. And I know that this was also a change of perspective, was the October 13 meditation for Own Your Power. And it's available on Amazon. It's available on my website. If you buy it through me, I will personally endorse it to you. 365 meditations on how to release mental, emotional, and spiritual blockages in your life, all guided by spirit. I thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week, Friday. Appreciate you being here. Welcome.